trademark monitor we're launching soon because
Oh,
a lot of trademark
exciting. Yay, trademark monitor.
that's coming out today. Finally, I mean, depending on when you release this, it'll already be out. But really, it'll help people have that peace of mind a little bit when you have a big shop that you're
Mhm.
generating, $10,000 a month from. You don't want to get shut down from an accidental trademark infringement.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Today, I have a really special guest. I have Cody. He's the creator of Everbee. Everbee is a Chrome extension that allows you to spy on your Etsy competitors. So, Cody, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and why you created Everbee? What gave you the idea?
Yeah, thanks. First of all, thank you for having me on. Seriously, I appreciate it. It's kind of cool to see the story, I guess. But yeah, overall, my name's Cody, founder, CEO of Everbee. We are a Etsy growth tool. Basically, any Etsy seller can come to Everbee and find the best products to sell on Etsy and find the best keywords to use on Etsy. In order to, the whole goal is to help them grow their business and grow it faster and grow better. We started out as like just a Etsy research tool, like product research, keyword research, and now we're evolving into more like a SEO tool, basically a business tool for anybody that wants to grow their Etsy business. Like we're the one-stop shop to do that thing. So yeah, I was an e-commerce seller. I sold on Amazon FBA was my first like e-commerce journey, entrepreneurship journey. Learned a lot about the creation process, sourcing products, product research, using various tools for Amazon. And when I came over to Etsy, I realized that there was like a huge gap. Like there wasn't a lot of tools out there that would enable me to basically have like a faster path in order to create success on Etsy. And I also had a tech background as well. I worked at software companies from like my day-to-day job. And I knew that I wanted to build a software product also. So it was a cool opportunity to kind of mix software with e-commerce, two loves that I had, mixed with entrepreneurship, helping other, sellers, people like me. Anyway, long story, but that's kind of the part of it.
Cool. That's really inspiring. How long did it take you to create from the idea, the inception of the idea to like actually getting it launched? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so it's funny. It's like nothing's built in like a day kind of thing. Like because I also built multiple e-commerce businesses, right? That I failed at most of them, had a couple of them succeeded, Amazon and then Shopify, things like that. And Etsy as well, eventually Etsy. And during all that process, like any entrepreneur listening to this can really relate to this, I think, is like we have shiny thing syndrome. And like
Yes.
we believe that we can do almost everything or we can figure it out at least. And so we build a bunch of products, a bunch of businesses. We like launch this. I'm going to launch this for the next 3 months and launch this month. And by the way, I'm doing like 5 other things while I also have a full-time job and wife and kids. Right. And I was the same way. The answer is not really, really clean. It's really, really messy. And meaning like I built like a whole bunch of like small software products and stuff that I tried to get off the ground way before Everbee and way before even Etsy. So I had a whole bunch of like a graveyard of failures, in building different things. I think I had one that was like in the construction industry because I was really interested in real estate investing and I did that whole thing. So it was like serving contractors, didn't succeed at all. Built another thing
Honestly,
like
that really reminds me of like someone's journey on Etsy, as far as
that,
like you have all of these graveyard, listings that like you're like when you first get on, you're like, oh, I'm gonna create all these listings to get all these sales, and then not, crickets, and it takes and it's when you see those multi-million-dollar Etsy shops, you're like, oh, well, it's so easy for them, you just see the end result, you don't see what it took to get there. And it's
you
like
know,
same with Everbee. It's like, oh, you're the successful business owner. And it's like, but you have to remember how hard you had to work to get there.
yeah, totally. And there's behind like every person or every shop, every Etsy shop, every creator, YouTuber, every software founder, owner, everybody. I mean, there's a graveyard of dead businesses, right? That they tried, or dead products, dead listings that they launched that didn't have any sales, right? And Etsy sellers are no exception of this, right? Like and we see the data because we see millions and millions of data of listings that shops that have the 80/20 rule, right? 20% of their listings are the ones that drive 80% of their revenue. Like that means 80% of a shop that has like 1,000 listings, probably more than 80% of those listings don't do anything. They have zero success, right? And that is just the way it is. It's called the power law. I'm not going to try to describe it, and try to justify why it is the way it is. It's just the way it is. And it's no exception for any entrepreneur, I think. So if somebody's listening to this and they're wondering like that they feel like they're probably just a failure because they've launched like a bunch of listings, it only takes one listing to really change their whole life.
It takes one bestseller and it just
That's it.
can totally take your shop to the next level.
Totally. And I think it just becomes a matter of how do you just finding that one, creating that one, and just not giving up, I guess, because that's so easy. I know we're kind of going into that whole thing. You're asking me about the story, but it is messy. How long did it take to actually create? When I had the idea, it started out with just like a Google sheet. I was tracking products because really when I was a seller, I am seller still, but like when I was like in that seller stage only, I was like, hey, how do I like shortcut this whole thing? Like how do I really just sell what people actually want instead of just like creating something and hoping that it sells? That was the whole objective behind the thing. And so what I was doing is I was just typing in a keyword on Etsy, and then I would take a product, I put it on a Google sheet, and I track that product. This one seems like it's doing well, has a bestseller tag, right? It's probably selling well. Track it, and I would look at the reviews. And okay, it's got this many reviews. And then I would do it again for another listing. And pretty soon I have like thousands of listings on this Google sheet. And I'm just kind of like manually tracking through these things. We all know, or most of us know, that you can actually look at a listing on Etsy, and if it has a lot of reviews, that means it's getting a lot of sales.
Right. Only about 10%, like probably less than 10% of customers take the time to leave a review.
Yeah, actually, we've actually studied this in Everbee, fortunately. And it seems like about the average is about 15%, the review ratio. And of course, it's lower for some shops and higher for some shops. Some people are like 30% review ratio, and that's awesome. But yeah, 15% is kind of like the thing. So all you do is just basically divide the reviews on a listing by the 15%, and there's the total sales. Oh, cool. Like this listing actually is selling. I should definitely consider selling something like this versus a listing that has 0 reviews or 2 reviews. Right. Well, should I go and make something
like validation?
Not validation. Yeah. And it's funny because like on Etsy, it'll say like have a bestseller tag, but some of them aren't actually selling that well. They only have like 2 reviews. And is that a bestseller? I mean, depends on whose definition, right?
Do you know what the ratio is for Etsy, or is it like kind of random? Like how many sales per window to get that bestseller badge? Is there like a secret recipe?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't think that there is a special recipe like that we've been able to find, at least. It's all anecdotal and like gut feeling. But I've even seen listings that are bestsellers and they might have like 2 sales.
That's crazy.
But they might have a lot of velocity in regards to like how many views and favorites. So maybe Etsy has a formula. I'm sure they have a formula on their back end, is like this thing has a potential to be bestseller type of thing. So they market as a bestseller, and then pretty soon it is a bestseller. But yeah,
it's still worth paying attention to those ones that don't have as much validation if it has that badge.
I think so. I wouldn't just write it off. I would just say like, oh, that has a bestseller. Cool. They're doing something right.
Or if it's brand new, if it's just gaining traction, then it's, definitely a lot of attention to put on it for that.
Exactly. Totally. Built a spreadsheet. And then at that point, I had a couple software things I was like really wanting to do, a mix with our e-commerce stuff that we were doing, selling products. And I'm just like, okay, I need to do this thing at some point and make a move on whatever product, whatever I'm going to get really behind and like dedicate my life to. That's what I was really searching for. Like when I looked deep down, like what was I wanted to dedicate my life to something, meaning like 5, 10 years, 15 years type of life. And so searching for that. And then eventually I'm just like, I think this is it. It was really to the point of like, I can get behind Etsy sellers because I love it. I love Etsy myself. I've succeeded on Etsy. I've made, at this point, I had like $300,000 in revenue on Etsy, and I had enough validation in my head of like, I know how to do this and I know what's needed here. And so at that point, just the decision point of, okay, let's go build it then. And so because we had this spreadsheet that was working for me, how do we actually go build the first version of that? That took another 7 months, I think, of time. From idea of like, okay, we're going to commit to it. We're going to build it. So in December of 2020, we decided to build Everbee, first version. It launched in May of 2021. So it's 6 months, I guess.
So it's still fairly new then.
Yeah, we're less than 2 years. Less than 2 years.
Yeah, because exactly. I don't remember hearing about anything about Everbee when I first started in 2020. It like didn't exist.
Yep, didn't exist. Exactly. There was like eRank was around. There was other Marmalade was around for a while too. But they were all keyword focused, and there wasn't anything really like, hey, focused on product research, validating products. And that's really what I wanted as a seller. And so we launched in May of 2021 with just like 0 users, of course. It was just me and, basically a development team, a very small team that wasn't even my internal team. Built it. It was so bad, but it did like, it was embarrassing. Right. But it did the basics, it did what like it needed to do. And fortunately, like I'm so thankful for those first couple people using Everbee still to this day. And they kind of just, at that point, I wasn't really sure if it was, something that people really cared about. I knew I liked it, but Didn't know if the market liked it. And then at that point, we just kind of like kept going. We had another user, another 10 users. And pretty soon it was like, okay, if you can get to 10, you can get to 20, you get to 20, you can get to 40. And just that kind of belief and faith, I guess, that it would continue to go if we put energy into it. And it just did. We just kind of kept doubling down on what worked, made the product better and better based on feedback, listened to our users and listened to our community, really started focusing on community and building a community. And now we have like over 10,000 people in this like Facebook group, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And now we have over 120,000 users using Everbee every day. And it started out with 0, like less than 2 years ago. So having a community of 120,000 people, and we're helping them build their online business, building the dream, that some sort of dream that they have, like, I think it's super special. And I'm just so grateful.
I love how much this resonates with Etsy sellers. Like if you can get 10 users, like that, to me, that's like, I often tell people who I coach, if you can get 10 sales, you can get 100 sales. You can get 100 sales, you can get 1,000, you can get 100,000. Those first 100 users are probably harder to get than your first 1,000 users, right?
Absolutely. It's like your first one is the hardest to get. Like, and then your first 10 is still really hard. And then you get another 10, it's a little easier because you kind of like have some confidence. But man, I agree with you. Like, I believe in this thing of if you can get to 10, you can get to 100. If you can get to 100, you get to 1,000. If you get to 1,000, you get to 10,000. It's just the truth. But you need to pay attention to what you did right and then double down on what you did right.
Yeah, and that's how you scale an Etsy shop is really looking to see, what is the data showing me I'm getting success with? Am I getting favorites? Am I getting traffic? Am I getting purchases? And then scaling that either it's the SEO keywords or a combination of keywords in the design or the niche. And then, using that to scale out your shop. And that's what successful shops do.
I love it. I totally agree with this. I think when it comes down to it is a business really just needs like one main thing. It needs a product that people want to buy. And then you need to just put the product in front of the people. It's funny, right? We complicate this business thing with SEO and keywords and all the crazy stuff, right? Yeah. And sales and discounts and pricing and all that stuff. But really it comes down to this, like, do you have the thing that the person wants to buy?
Right.
If the answer is yes, then it's a matter of all these other things, right? But you need to have the product to serve the market. And so that was kind of the mission, was like, at least solve this core problem first. And then people can figure out the best way to price something and all this stuff.
Sure.
And yeah, I don't know. I totally agree with you. Like, that's why I respect like so much like what you're doing, which is like building your community and just educating people, because there's so many gaps in this e-commerce world, right? It's really complex, actually. We make it complex as humans. And you're trying to cut through all that noise and just tell them like a source of truth, like, hey, focus on this. And I just respect that a lot in you.
Well, thank you. So moving back on to Everbee, can you tell us a little bit more about Everbee and the features it offers?
Totally. Yeah. So product research is the core. We show you the best products to sell on Etsy. So you can go to, if you sell to moms, I guess, right? Like, let's say you sell to new moms. How about that? You could type in like baby blankets or baby, just type in baby in the search field, click on product analytics in the Chrome extension, and you'll be able to sort by revenue of which things are selling the best for baby. So that way you understand what people are actually buying on Etsy and specifically in that keyword. So baby, okay, they're buying this baby blanket. They're also buying this baby bib. Oh, I can make that. Oh, I can make something like that. I can make something like that. And then pretty soon you have this like a bunch of products. You have a clear path of, okay, I can make products that people actually want to buy. They're obviously buying these things. I just need to make products that are maybe different or better or more unique or something like that. Keyword research is the feature that we've been focusing on a lot too. It's one thing to actually understand what they're buying, but it's also just what are people searching for in general? Like, how many times are people searching in new mom or baby blanket or tumbler cup or whatever it is, right? How many times per month are people actually search volume? Exactly. And the competition as well. We're actually just releasing that today as well. Understanding the competition, understanding the opportunity, right? Because it's one thing to be searching for a baby blanket and it has 2,000 people searching for it per month. But if it's got like 10 million listings on it, you're competing with competition. It's hard to compete. A couple other things too. You could like look through a shop. If you find a competitor shop, you could actually just like see what the best products in that shop that are selling. So you don't have to just guess. So if a shop seems like they have like 200,000 sales in their shop, the first question that I ask as a seller is like, okay, well, which listing is bringing all the sales to this shop?
The 80-20 rule, and then figuring out those 20, narrowing those down.
Nailed it. Exactly. So I just use Everbee product analytics, and you can actually just analyze their entire shop in one click. And it will show you, hey, these listings here, these 20 listings are like, this one's doing $10,000 a month, this one's doing $30,000 a month, this one's doing $2,000 a month, and all these other ones are doing zero.
Right.
And now I know, okay, well, I'm not going to go make a bunch of products that don't have demand. And we never like recommend people like copy, right? Some people would replace, they kind of mistake me, and I'll say like, make something like this. Don't copy. We never encourage this. It's more like take the market research.
Adding new value to it.
Add value to it. Yeah, exactly. Etsy calculator, right? To understand like, it's funny. We all have spreadsheets, or I had a spreadsheet that I just lived off of my profit calculator spreadsheet that I built. But a lot of folks don't really have interest in building a spreadsheet, right? And understanding their profit margins, or even understand what's even look for in a profit margin. So we have a profit calculator for this, purely based on people asking the same questions, like, how do I know how much profit I'm making? What's a good profit? Profit calculator will do that for you, and consider like Etsy fees. It'll consider like your listing fees, your transaction fees, your payment processing fees, which not many people know. Etsy takes a payment processing fee also. It's not just 6.5% transaction fee. It's not just the 2%, I'm sorry, the 20-cent listing fee, but they also take a payment processing fee as well. So understanding those numbers, so you can actually run those things are the things that like underlying like the foundation of your business, And then listing ring tracker, and I can go on all day about the different features, but trademark monitor we're launching soon because
exciting. Yay, trademark monitor. That's so helpful. That's like one of the scariest things about selling on Etsy is that trademark infringement, that you have to watch out for.
That's coming out today, finally. I mean, depending on when you release this, it'll already be out, but totally. Yeah. It's exciting. We've worked on a lot, and really it'll help people have that peace of mind a little bit when you have a big shop that you're generating $10,000 a month from. You don't want to get shut down from an accidental trademark infringement. Yeah, so this feature will basically scan all your listings automatically for you, and basically give you warnings like, hey, this listing here has a couple trademark terms in it, like check them out, make sure you're good. And you can decide if it's good or not. All automatically done for you. And so that's super cool, super exciting. And it also will scan it every single month for you automatically. So that way, if a trademark, you have a listing that's doing well, I mean, it's clear no trademarks right now, but let's say next month somebody registers a trademark, we will check that for you and tell you, hey, this one just got registered. Like, you need to probably consider that. So
that will be such a peace of mind. That I didn't realize you guys were doing that. Like I had heard that you were talking about it, but I was like, oh, that's something that who knows that if they could ever do that. You guys actually did it. I'm so wow.
Yeah, totally excited to get the feedback too from the users for sure. But it'll be in beta mode first, which means like we're still optimizing it, making it better and stuff like that. But yeah, very cool, very exciting. And then we're doing a lot of other things too, like a million things we could probably talk about all day. But overall, like helping Etsy sellers grow their business. If somebody wants to grow their business, then they need to come to Everbee for sure, and use it in a simple data-driven approach.
So later on, I was actually going to ask you about, a tool or a feature on Everbee that is overlooked, but really valuable. But to me, and maybe I'm wrong, to me, you sort of already just mentioned it, because you mentioned the shop analyzer. I don't really see anyone teaching about this on YouTube, but that is such a valuable tool. Like personally, I often show like, doing a general search on Etsy, like funny dad shirt, for example. And I quickly analyze to see, what's the top listings, which ones are they, because that's kind of what I'm more interested in. But I don't often take the time out to show them the shop analyzer part, where you go into those successful shops and you can quickly see which listings are driving all of that traffic, all of that success. And it will allow you to download a PDF, right? No, actually Google Sheet.
Yep.
It's a Google Sheet, and it basically prints out a blueprint for you of success on Etsy, and you can just follow that blueprint essentially. And it's such a valuable tool. Highly recommend that tool for any Etsy seller.
That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that too, for sure. I think it is an overlooked thing. Even I don't use it enough, right? Kind of thing. There's a lot of power in that for sure. I think that's, no question, is super powerful. Another one is probably, this one's kind of fun, I think, to talk about, because most new Etsy sellers, if they're brand new, they don't believe that they could actually succeed on Etsy. They have a belief issue, right? And they somehow they program themselves, or through Facebook groups, all this stuff, that only older shops on Etsy can be successful. And I hear it time and time again. People are just like, oh, the only successful shops have been around for 5 or 6 years, 10 years on Etsy, and that's why they're ranking so well. Well, I was curious to see if that's true. So Everbee shows that now. You can actually just go by shop. You can use product analytics, and you can use shop age, and you can sort by shop age and see that, hey, this shop is only like 18 months old
Right.
and this thing has
Absolutely.
150,000 sales. That's less than 2 years, 150,000 sales. Like that's not an old shop.
Mm-mm.
And then you have another one that has 12 months, it's 11 months old and it's got like 40,000 sales. I'm like, okay, that's totally myth is debunked, like not
Yes.
true at all. I love seeing that personally because anytime the question comes into our mind is question one is Etsy too saturated,
Mm-hmm.
to succeed? Like, no, it's not.
No,
There's
there's so
opportunity.
much evidence. Yeah, I agree. I
Yep.
actually have recent YouTube videos and recent TikTok videos where I find shops that are brand new, sometimes only three
Oh,
months
cool.
old, 3 months old, and have thousands of sales that they've generated. I'm just like, guys, look at this. This is incredible. Like, you can be brand new and in 3 months from now have thousands of sales if you're able, if you're willing to take the work and the time to do that trend research and see what's selling. And it's so important to look at those shops, those newer shops, because success leaves clues.
That's right.
And Everbee helps you to find those shops that are crushing it, that are brand new, because you can just reverse engineer their keywords and their niches, and what they're selling in is in demand.
I love that. Exactly. I mean, it makes it so you don't have to waste so much time.
Yes.
Like, gosh, like, I mean, I know you've been there too, I'm sure. How many times have you just like created something because you're just like felt like you just wanted to create it? And that's cool. Like,
Uh-huh.
nothing wrong with that. It's great. But it doesn't always lead to sales, right? And most of the time it doesn't actually. I have literally inventions that I have on my shelf over here that I haven't sold anything at, hardly anything.
Uh-huh.
And I went and got patent pending and I like designed this thing, sourced a bunch of them, had it manufactured, ordered like 1,000 of them in bulk and like all that. And then didn't get any sales, and it's because I didn't do the validation part. I didn't do the product validation because the market didn't really prove that this was actually needed or wanted. And if it did, I didn't check it. So anyway, it's I think another one feature that I need to do a better job personally, educating people on like how to use it because it's a little bit more technical, I guess. But listing rank tracker
Okay.
is something that's way overlooked, I think, with Everbee, because everyone always asks the question of, how is my listing? I just launched this listing. Like, how is it ranking? Or why am I not getting views? And you could actually, with listing rank tracker, you could track your rank of your listing. For example, if you create a, cat coffee mug or something like that, right? And you launch it and you believe it's an awesome product. And then you optimize the SEO and you put the nice titles and nice tags, all this stuff. And then you launch it. But like, where are you ranking actually through all those keywords for cat mug, for coffee mug, for cat cup, for coffee cup,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever? You have a bunch of keywords that you could be showing up for on each one of these
Mm-hmm.
search results. But how would you know unless you actually went and typed in the search bar cat cup and then went through your pages, page 1, page 2, and page 3, page 4. Oh, I'm on page 6. But you have to do that for every single keyword every single day. Everybody
Right.
does that for you automatically.
Cool. That's
Like
really cool.
completely. It does it every single day, and it checks all your keywords for you and it plots it on a map, on a graph to say, hey, you're ranked number 30. You're ranked number 30 today, which is first page. Cool. And then the next day you're ranked number 25 for Cat Cup. And then the next day, hey, you lost rank completely. And you're wondering why you didn't get a lot of views that day. Well, it's because you lost rank for that keyword. Now the question is why and how to fix all that stuff. Those are deeper questions. But anyway, I'm excited about that one. Also, it's a little more technical, but I think people, as soon as they get it, they'll see the value.
Well, the last thing I wanted to ask you about is your new Etsy Seller podcast. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about that and then how we can go about listening to that podcast?
Oh my gosh, yeah, of course. It's funny. We were just doing interviews on YouTube. I was just doing interviews on YouTube because I really just enjoy talking with like people like you and just people that are crushing it and like go-getters, entrepreneurs, specifically for Etsy. Yeah, we just decided, okay, let's turn it into a podcast form also, not just YouTube videos. And we basically just repurpose them into podcasts. People can listen to them on any platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the other ones, I guess, if there's other out there. Really, we just look for interesting stories that are Etsy related, Etsy stories to bring to our audience, because so many of our sellers do not have sisters, friends, brothers, uncles, parents that are entrepreneurs or specifically Etsy sellers. And so they don't get to have a lot of Etsy conversations. But the podcast, Etsy Seller Podcast, is dedicated towards almost like the listener can just be a fly on the wall for a conversation purely about entrepreneurship and Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a unique place for them to just really get insights, get goals, get value, get belief, get motivation to keep going when it's hard and dark, and hear these stories of successful people like yourself, right? Of started with started at nothing, right? They had a full-time job, and then they had this dream of building an Etsy shop, and then they executed and learned and executed and learned and executed, and eventually they achieved their goal, which was financial freedom, location freedom, time with their family, with their newborns. Those stories are not spotlighted enough, and that's kind of part of the mission, is to do this, because after all, Everbee's mission is to help people achieve like living a life on their own terms, passionate like life on their own terms, having that like time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom. And we just build tools to kind of support that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've started listening to it recently, and I really enjoyed listening to it. You have just such a diverse group of people that you've spoken to. Like you've spoken to like multi-million-dollar Etsy shop owners and new Etsy shop owners who are just really crushing it. And they all have their own different insights and actionable advice to give on how to be successful on Etsy and how to sell your things on Etsy. So I've really appreciated it.
That's
I actually
awesome.
recently did an interview with Cody as well. It's called the Etsy Sellers Podcast, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, exactly.
So I just recently did an interview with Cody there. I'll make sure to drop that in the description box below so that you guys can catch that interview there. But yeah, I've really appreciated just the really valuable insight from all of those different Etsy sellers.
Isn't it cool? Like just talking to so many people about, and you're doing this too. It just shows you that there's not just one way to make it work, right? There's not one way to succeed. Like I'm hearing from these different people and they're like, oh yeah, I do Etsy ads. Like you need to do Etsy ads. And then I hear from somebody else who's like a multi-six-figure seller. And they're just like, oh yeah, I never do Etsy ads until like, they don't ever do Etsy ads. And we're just
It's
like,
all organic. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And
Or they do social media or they don't do social media.
that's
Yeah.
right. Exactly. Influencer marketing, TikTok. Some people do it, some people don't. Pinterest, right, is a new thing, right? Or not a new thing, but just like a thing. And some people do it, some people don't do it. And it's like, it's so cool. It just shows you can just like, if you just focus, you find your path, double down on what's working, then man, you can make it. You're only like one product away from truly making a difference in your business and your life and your family. I truly believe this. It's happened to me so many times now at this point. I've heard the story so many times. It's like one listing that changed someone's life. And if if it only gets you 100 sales, yeah, it's not life-changing money, but it changed your life in a matter of like, wow, I just created one listing, created 100 sales. What if I did it again? It got me 1,000 sales. And you can start seeing this like vision kind of unfold in front of you. And it's super awesome. We just have an awesome community. Like you're part of that, right? And we're just so lucky. And we have an awesome team, like Everbee internal team. We're 15 people total in our full-time team, plus freelancers and contractors and stuff like that. But we have like 15 people on our internal team that are just purely dedicated towards literally making Etsy sellers' lives better through the business. And we're so like value driven in our team. And it's because of our amazing customers that we have that makes it to where we can pour back into them on like internally, right? Where we can build features faster and build more valuable features. I don't know. We're just lucky all around, I would say. I think our why is really strong. Like everybody in our team, we all buy into the same why of why we do things. And we really are customer obsessed, right? And user obsessed. And we really want to see them succeed. If they don't succeed, then why are we even doing it? You know? And as far as like me being involved, like this is my passion. This is what I love to do. I love talking to entrepreneurship minded people, mindset, success, money, because it's like an underlying, it's a core part of all of our businesses, all of our families and all of our communities. Like we need to have a living. Right. And if you could do it in a way that's like fun, sustainable, then that's like something worth pursuing, I think. And yeah, it's pretty fun. And we always love like hearing from users and customer feedback, and like love jumping on calls like with you or with other customers too that have zero sales. Like we love talking with them sometimes because we can learn a lot from everybody. And it's definitely not just me. I guess my point is with this is it's definitely not just me behind this thing. It's like literally our team is so powerful internally and so dedicated that I owe almost everything to them. So anyway.
And that's the only thing that I love about Everbee. And using Everbee for, about a year. And the amount of changes and updates you've made to the extension is like incredible. Like if I ever have an idea, I know, occasionally I talk with Cassie Johnson and Jenny from the shop, and we'll come up with like this crazy idea, like, oh, what if Everbee did this? And then it's kind of like a pie in the sky, like dream, like, oh, that's never they're never going to add that. And then boom, you guys add it, and it's like, what?
I love that.
So I just love that you guys are really listening to your customer base and taking that input and putting it to action.
I mean, it's what it's about, right? Like, if we're not listening to you, then who the heck are we listening to, right? It can't just be all ego based, driven from Cody's ideas or somebody in our team's ideas. Like, no, we need to listen to the people that we're serving, which is you and Cassie and Jenny and things like that. And we're so grateful for those ideas, actually, right? Because I think the shop analyzer it wasn't my idea. It was gosh, who was it? I don't know. It was yours, Cassie's. Yeah,
Mine
exactly.
and Cassie's, yeah.
Yeah,
Mine and Cassie's were like,
and
this would be a game changer for Etsy sellers. Like, you have to do this. And then you did. I like, and I expected it like a year, 2 years down the road. And it was just like a month later, like, hey,
totally.
check this out. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, and technically it was actually a pretty challenging thing because like some shops have like literally 2,000 listings, right?
Right.
So
Right.
in order to get all those listings in a matter of a second or a couple of seconds, it's actually pretty challenging technically. But fortunately, we were able to do it because we had the idea from you guys. And then Trademark Monitor 2, that was Cassie, I think, that first brought it. And then a couple other people brought it up after. I'm like, oh, interesting. We should build this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, seriously, like our team is powerful, like and it's growing, and we're still hiring. We're going to be probably double the size we are currently, just because we have a clear roadmap on like how to help Etsy sellers succeed. And I think e-commerce is going to continue to grow. Obviously, the opportunity is just going to get bigger for every entrepreneur that wants to build an online business. So we're just going to keep going because this is something that we love and it's sustainable and passionate about it.
It's a tool that I personally use every day on Etsy. It
That's
has
awesome.
been such a time saver for me because when I first started selling on Etsy, I mean, we had nothing. I mean, we had E-rank we could go to for keyword research, which was helpful. Yeah, there's maybe Alora, things like that.
Yep.
And it was very limited. And what we had to do for return research was just go on Etsy, type in our niche idea, and we had to like open up a bunch of tabs and click on things that we thought were bestsellers or could maybe had the bestseller badge, and like spent forever building out this whole spreadsheet of like bestsellers to get ideas. And we didn't have any idea really of knowing how successful the listing was and how much, estimated sales, anything like that. If we
Totally.
wanted to investigate it, we could, but like it took so much time. And I'm a mom. I'm a busy mom. I have two kiddos. I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. I don't
Oh my
have a
gosh.
lot of time. And when I started Etsy, I was working full time, maintaining a household, and it just took so much time. And now I'm just like, click, boom, I already know what it is. And it
Perfect.
really it's changed my time. It's changed how I do product research. It's changed my Etsy shop, how I design everything. So I mean, it's such an easy tool to use.
That's
That's
amazing.
why like I recommend it to everyone. I'm like, okay, if you're an Etsy seller, you need to have this. Like, it
Totally.
just goes hand in hand, hand in
I
hand.
love that. I seriously love that. I appreciate you sharing that so much. I think that and I know we're always thinking about this. We always understand that like people starting their brand new business, they're worried about like a few dollars, spending $30 a month or something like that.
Sure.
It is a lot, when you're first starting out, because you don't really have the confidence in like if what you're going to do is actually going to work. But if you actually have confidence that it just takes one listing to really change my entire business. And when I say change your business, like one listing can generate 100 sales, 200 sales, 1,000 sales. I've seen it happen.
I have single listings that have generated 30K for me in a few months time period.
Yes.
Not even like the life expectancy of it. I mean, in a few months, especially like during fourth quarter when things heat up. I mean, yeah,
Totally. And the
absolutely.
idea, like that's the way I look at Everbee too, is like we don't we have no interest in being like the cheapest tool. We want to be the most valuable tool,
Right.
and if for $30, if we can create $30,000 for somebody in a matter of a few months or even a year, let's say 2 years, like that's a win. We win. Everybody wins, the customer wins, Everbee wins, like the buyers win because they get products they actually wanted to. So really we focus on value. We're not interested in being like the cheapest tool in the entire world because we don't believe that cheap is best. Cheap is actually just cheap. That's all it is. We want to be the most valuable and most impactful to your business. And so we'll continue to always have that mindset. We're building features now also that's like on the roadmap of email marketing, things like that too. There's a lot of repeat business from your customers that people aren't getting. People are afraid of email marketing because that's these terms of service and stuff, make it kind of like gray area. But we're building it in a way that's according to their terms of service. We're doing it the right way. There's a lot of repeat customers that people are missing out on when they're getting those 100 sales that we believe that like we can get those back to our Etsy sellers. So we're excited about that. Review automation. I know me and you've talked about that. Getting reviews for those sales as well. We're kind of building those core things that you need for your Etsy business. And eventually we will be in the print on demand space too, and helping like people with print on demand. That's another conversation for another day. But yeah, we're going to continue to build and launch valuable things.
That's really exciting. I'm really excited to hear about the email marketing too, because I personally never email marketed as a newer Etsy shop owner. I
Hmm.
just like you said, I was kind of worried about the gray area.
Yep.
I didn't understand the amount of sales that could be driven from it until I got into content creation and started building a, an audience and email list for that. And then I was like, oh my goodness, why have I not been doing this for
Crazy.
my Etsy shop? What was I thinking? So if your shop is ever slow or you just want to drive more sales and to be able to control your traffic,
Controlling your
if you don't
traffic.
have that email list for your customer base, Etsy controls it. And you know how Etsy can be with the algo changes and things like that.
Yep.
And to be able to control your customer base is super powerful for your Etsy shop and for your sales.
That's it. I totally agree with this. Yeah, it's a missed opportunity by every some like 99% of e-commerce sellers. Email is powerful. It's always been powerful. It always is powerful. It's not dead. It's just a solid, stable thing that you need to have at some point. It doesn't need to be right away when you're starting your Etsy business. But at some point you need to think, I need to move into email marketing at some point. It doesn't need to be this hard thing to move into. It could be like one of those things where you're building a list, you nurture the audience, stay in touch with them, build a relationship with them through email, and don't just spam them with a bunch of sales, right? Add value to them and then sprinkle in some sales. It's a way for you to really build an audience, and you could kind of stabilize your revenue, meaning it's more predictable this way, because you know that when you send an email out, you send 1,000 emails, you're going to get, X amount of people to convert on those emails. And then you could do that once a day or once a month or once a week. I mean, something like that. And you can like kind of stabilize your business, and then you turn it into like a funnel almost. And so that's the way I look at email marketing. With Etsy, it's a little bit tricky because obviously you're not allowed to just go and email every single person that buys from
They
you,
have to
right?
subscribe to the email list.
That's right. But what you are able to do as a seller is you're able to send them transactional emails, meaning an order confirmation, a shipment confirmation, order delivery, and then also ask for a review about the transaction. And so this process you're allowed to do according to Etsy's terms of service at the moment, at least. And Everbee will automate this process for you. And then with those emails, every single one of those emails, you'll be able to we're automatically going to ask them if they want to subscribe to your email list in every single one of those emails. So it's an opportunity to ask them if they want to subscribe. So if they do, a certain percentage of them will subscribe. They're going to go into your subscribed list, and then you're free to email them whenever, however often you want. And so the more you get sales, it's like an engine, right? The more you get sales, the more subscribers you get, the more times you can email them, the more revenue you'll generate. And it's going to be this awesome
and the more
engine.
Etsy rewards you too, because Etsy rewards you when you're driving some of your that own traffic.
Nailed it. Totally agree with this. Yeah. And as long as you take care of your audience and not spam them and be, unethical, Etsy will like this, the fact that they're getting more sales from you, staying in touch, authentically with your buyers. So excited.
Okay. Well, really quickly, I want to make sure everyone knows how much Everbee costs and then how to get it.
Yeah. So just everbee.io. It's free forever when you sign up. We have a free plan. It has some limitations. You can basically 10 analytics searches per month. And then if you decide you want to kind of have more of that, we have a pro plan. It's for $7.99, $8 a month. Has kind of like the next level of research. Most of the value will come from our growth plan, and that's $29.99 per month, or you can buy for the annual plan, which is $19.99 a month. But that's where most of the value is. And that's where you have like basically unlimited access to all the features that are there, unlimited keyword research, unlimited product research, shop analyzers, everything's pretty much trademark monitor, all that stuff is there. We will have a business plan at some point because we've been asked for like people that are companies that are more serious and like growing their business further. We'll probably have like another pricing tier, maybe by the time this comes out, called the business plan, but we don't at the moment. And yeah, highly recommend it. It's something that everyone should at least be looking at, using data to make decisions in their business.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Cody. It was such a pleasure speaking with you and learning more about Everbee and learning more about how to be successful on Etsy. So make sure to subscribe below if you haven't already so that you don't miss the next video. And in the description box below, I'm going to throw in a bunch of links to Everbee, to my interview with Cody on his podcast. So be sure to check those links out below.
You're awesome, Angel. Thank you so much for having me on, seriously. And I guess last thing I'll mention to anybody listening to this, keep going. If you're kind of going through a hard time, just like keep going. It can work. It only takes one listing to really change your entire business, your life. We've said it a couple of times, but keep going and you will figure it out.
Thanks.
Cool.
That's very inspiring.
Awesome. Thanks, Angel.
Thanks.